Nurse Ratchet. And now I do a different trauma. I do emotional trauma. And I continue to see stigma. And I know you're working on it really, really hard. But I can tell you this. If the United States Army will change the stigma, as I've seen with other things, I know that society will begin to accept it. I also work with police departments. And because the Army has come on board with suicide prevention, the police departments are now embracing it. That would have never happened before. So part of it is I want reserve parents and so forth to have be better taken care of, and perhaps the reserves be more, and I understand that's all changing. They're working on it. But my main thing is, General, stigma. We have to stop this. It has to change.
Thank you. We've been, as you suggested, we've been working at this very hard. And it's not just an Army problem, it's a societal problem. And we really have been pushing this for a long time, but really since 2007. And our surveys show that we've gone from where 90% of the Army wouldn't seek assistance because they feared it would impact their career. Now only 50% of the Army won't get help because they're afraid it would impact their career. That's 500,000 people. And so I am with you. One of the things we're trying to accomplish with the Comprehensive Soldier Fitness Program is to raise mental fitness to the same level as physical fitness. And to do it in a way that doesn't attach any stigma to it at all. It's part of being a soldier, and it's part of your health. And that's another way we're coming at this. And frankly, I think that has more potential than just saying, there's no stigma here, go ahead and do what you need to do. They've got to see it. And this program is designed to work in groups of about 30, platoon level. And that's where the stigma is the worst. And that's where we have to begin, and that's why this program is attacking that level. We're not going to quit.
My name is Dr. Ba from Lincoln University.
Wave your hand, please.
I'm hiding this way, sir.
Okay, there you go.
Regarding the suicide, we've been associated with the Army now for 3 years. We developed BTF. You all have seen that it was a required viewing for everybody in the Army and the DA civilian. We just completed another one for the families, the reserve, the National Guard. I did give a copy of it to Sylvia. The Army has been working actively, as General Casey says. We're trying not to really do a diagnosis. We're trying to train people and raise their awareness by using this program that are interactive so people can really figure out the risk and warning sign, find out the resources that they can have access to between the Army or their own communities. So these DVDs are available, and I don't know when the Army is going to release them officially, but we completed the project, and they're going to be available to a lot of you guys, more than 14,000 copies of them through the Army G1. So I've heard this question asked for the last 3 days. I just wanted you to know there are things being done over there that are free of access for you guys, and we are standing by and willing to help as much as we could. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I missed the first part. What is this? What is it that you have on?
The DVD, behind the front and the home front.
On the home front?
Yeah. Sylvia, can I show it, please?
No, the DVD is called On the Home Front.
Look, the home front. This one has DA civilian scenario in it, Army family members,
right. Okay.
National Guard and Reserve, active duty Army. We have 6 different scenarios, and they've been completed, and they are standing by to be released by the G1.
Good.
Here's a copy of it. And
Very good.
It's free, and it's, it belongs to the Army.
I hope the G1's here.
Yeah.
Get moving.
Thank you for that.
Please.
Hi, General. My name is Roberta Stewart. My husband was killed on September 25th in 2005 in Afghanistan. His Chinook CH-47 was shot down after he unloaded 30 men into a hot zone. I have a unique situation that I would like to talk about. As we talk about parents and siblings and all the family members are very important. I have an older child, and I was wondering, this experience has been so awesome for me as she goes into turning 18 and can remember being the one at home who answered the door and waiting for her mother to come home. If we are going to be bringing some of the dependent children into this program to express and share how they feel, I know Dana has an older child too, and give their experiences on what they saw. As we know, it's very different. I don't know what my daughter saw. I only know what I saw. So I have that question for you. And then I also have another unique situation, and I didn't know if you were aware. My husband was killed, and upon returning home, I also had no casualty officer. I was left to do things myself. Unfortunately, when I went to bury my husband, as I discussed everything with him, I knew exactly what he wanted on his headstone and everything. To my dismay, when I went to bury him, I was told that we could not have our religious emblem of faith placed on his headstone. This caused great pain for my family. I spent all of my money litigating against the United States government to bury my soldier. It took me 3 years. He had a blank headstone for every Memorial Day service that me and my daughter had to go look at, while every other soldier was honored with their emblem of faith. So as I move forward, I want my daughter to be able to give her input on how this impacted our family, how we are left with no resources as my daughter turns 18, how we've spent all of our SGLI money to get, in order to prevail on the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. And I was wondering if you had any input or if you had any knowledge of this situation that our soldiers have been in for many years.
I'm not aware of the First Amendment issue that you're talking about, but I can ask one of the folks over there to get your details, okay, if you do that. And so we can understand it better. Okay. On your daughter. One of the things I know that we're working on is trying to bring siblings into this process. And as we went through it in the Casey household, I was 21. My youngest sister was 12. And she was the one that answered the door, was there with my mother when she was told. And it affected all of us very, very differently. And she's the one really that helped my mother through it more than anything else, because we were in the Army and had gone off to Germany. But we do intend to bring siblings into this process. Thank you. Anybody else? There you go.
I'm not even going to try to talk. Oh, I wasn't going to try to talk without this. I talked too softly. My name is Stephanie Bradbury, and I'm a surviving spouse of PFC Brian Bradbury. I was just wondering, because this is my own personal experience, but I know that a lot of other wives have experienced this also. After my husband passed, there was friction between me and my mother-in-law on different levels, financial levels, what we wanted done and whatnot. So my question is there some sort of counseling that you guys are implementing for in-laws and wives? Because I want to have that positive relationship with my mother-in-law, and I feel like I can get counseling for my grief. My mother-in-law can get counseling for her grief, but what happens with the family counseling together, all of us? So I'm just wondering, is that something that can be put in place? Is that something that's already in place that we're just not having information of? And what's that situation?
It certainly is something that we can work on and put in place, but I hear this a lot. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think it has to do with who your spouse designates. And I mean, I hear this is another topic that comes up every time that we get together, and there's always friction. Not always, but there seems to be friction and tension. Whether or not that we can do something at our level to help break down some of that friction, that's a great question, and that's something we can look at.
Hello? Oh. I wasn't saying like as far as like who's designated. I'm talking more on the counseling level.
No, I got it.
okay,
Yeah, no, I
okay.
got it. And whether, what I said was whether we can, at our level, do something to help, to facilitate the process between the spouse and the in-laws. That's something that we can take a look at. Go ahead.
Hi, sir. My name is Kate Wright. My husband was in Iraq in '07, died of an aortic dissection while in Iraq. And what I was told was while they were going through their physicals before deployment is they don't get any kind of extensive work unless they're over the age of 40. My husband was 37. Is there a way of changing that rule where these soldiers that are younger than 40 get more extensive physical exams so that, I mean, I can't say that it would have prevented him from passing away, but at least he could have been with me, not overseas.
Yeah, but we certainly can go back and look at the criteria for the physicals. We can take a look at that. Good afternoon.
My name is Nicole Haycock, and I'm with Gold Star Wives. And I have a question for you. I appreciate you including all of our families in so many military benefits, but by not adding us as legal definitions in many of these benefits, it creates challenges, and we spend time trying to get them. Examples are EFMP. I have a special needs child. Getting benefits for him was quite a challenge. We had to change laws, and we had to change definitions simply because he was no longer considered EFMP. As my daughter's class went off to college this year, she did not go with them. It was not included in the GI Bill for a button for survivors. So she
For,
simply
I'm
had,
sorry?
for survivors, there was not a block to check. And to be honest with you, I wasn't allowed to check it unless I dug up Jeff. He wasn't going to be able to check it. We got it corrected, but it took us, and she didn't get to go off to college with her friends. She had to stay back. But if we continue to conclude families as survivors in legal definitions of benefits, we won't be going back and correcting them, and they'll be getting them at the same time they're implemented. And I'd
Yep.
appreciate your support and such.
Those ladies sitting to your left there have been working these kind of issues for a
I'm on their
long-
committee. I'm part of the
That's
good.
But you're right, we got a lot of work we have to do with the laws here with respect to survivors. And one of the things I hope that this forum gives you, and forums like it gives you a voice. That
Absolutely.
would reinforce what these great ladies have been doing for years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you have, I know you do, I know you have specifics of legislation and laws that we need to work. Let us help.
Sir, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon. I'm right here.
We got one more. I wouldn't feel, unless I heard from Dana, I wouldn't feel like
All
I'd
right, sir.
really done this.
Because I will spam you. Okay,
Just don't CC me on every email you send.
I am Dana Lamberson, and my husband was killed in April of 2006. And unfortunately for George, or excuse me, General Casey and Miss Sheila, has been the recipient of many emails. And many of the things that you guys have discussed, I have had the privilege and honor to listen to myself at the 101st area or at Snowball Express that was created 5 years ago, and for Children of the Fallen to go on a special vacation during Christmas time. Well, with that, I sent him all these emails with this whole idea that Army needs to step up and take care of their own. They're sending them off to war. They got to do something with these families, and including everybody who was affected by the loved one, that soldier's death. And all of these issues that you brought up, it warms my heart to know that I was maybe on the right track. I wasn't sure, but I think I was thinking that maybe a 4-star might figure that out. And it
You're
did.
on the right track.
Okay, so my concern, and with you, and I thank you, I want to add to you, this is why I spoke up, and I couldn't speak up anymore. My recent research that I had been tasked to do on my own accord, thank you, was survivor, employment for survivors. And that would not just be widows. That would mean parents, to include fathers, not just mothers, not just birth mothers, but fathers. And I found on whitehouse.gov, 100% federal job placement by the recommendation from our President Obama. Recently, Mrs. Obama, the First Lady, had stated, we really need to get these veterans jobs. When they come out, they're not struggling with PTSD. My husband never had PTSD. He was in his 4th year-long deployment in a combat zone. We didn't have any problems. And he didn't have any problems. He went to work, he did his job, he came home. Somehow he was able to switch from being in a combat zone to being home as a civilian and not be a threat to anybody. So that was good news for everybody, right? What I would like to hear, what I heard Mrs. Obama say, and it stopped, and I don't know if it was the media that did it, but she said veterans only. So what I'd like to hear people say in the U.S. Army, in the federal government, in the United States of America, and globally, is it does not stop just at veterans. It goes beyond that. It goes to wounded warriors and their spouses and the families affected by wounded warriors. It goes to survivors and anyone affected by a surviving by a soldier who gave the ultimate sacrifice, who died in a car crash, who died as an illness. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that they can die. It's not just giving the ultimate sacrifice. They served their country too. They were awarded different awards that some of us may or may not understand. I received this award. I didn't know what it was until much later, and I'm proud to wear it. But I just say thank you, sir, for all that you have done. You have planted a seed, and like a farmer does that for our country and feeds the community of the people in his community, you have done this for the Army and their families. So I think I made myself clear that. let me just do the bottom line up front, the bluff here.
But anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah,
And,
that's it.
Thank you. Thank you all. As I said, I think we built a base for Survivor Outreach Services, and now we need to move up and take it to another level. And so thank you very much, and know that you've got a voice, and let us help you make that voice heard. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, and thank you for all the work you've done this past week, and just, you know, I ask you to continue fighting the fight, you know, because as you do it, things will change. Just don't let up. And I'm sure some of you have learned that already as you've watched, as you've personally gotten things changed. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
General and Mrs. Casey, thank you for your caring and compassionate conversation with us this afternoon. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Commanding General of Family, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Command, Major General Reuben Jones.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is indeed an honor always when I get a chance to talk about a part of my network, a part that truly brings out the best of my organization, and that's whenever we get an opportunity to talk about our survivors. They are wonderful. I am often reminded, and I was this morning, I spent time with them at Arlington, and we put a wreath out on the tomb of the unknown soldier. We had a soldier that I worked on his case. We had his mother there, Miss Malpin, to be with us this morning, along with one of our soldiers' friends, who by definition is not a survivor, but he is. He is, and he cares, and he's here with that soldier's, his battle buddy's mother. What a wonderful time that we have when we can get our survivors together, let them beat up on us a little bit, but this time we beat up on them a little bit, and the product that they delivered was absolutely astounding. They are a wonderful bunch. They are a truly wonderful bunch. I can call on them. They're a part of the network too, but I can call on them when I need help. A little bit over a year ago, I called up Dana Lamberton. That was after the Chief of Staff in the Army's office called me and asked me to be at the funeral of Stephen Mace. Those in the Washington area probably saw it all over the news. Small town America showed up and showed out for this great soldier. The soldier had a brother, still in basic training, huh? The mother called and said, hey, I think I need some help. I'm on the road. I'm driving to Fort Campbell because I'm taking his butt to his unit. I said, wow. So I called up a part of the network, Dana Lamberton, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and I said, Dana, I need a lifeline. She said, what do you want? I said, I got a young soldier en route, 5 hours out, mother bringing him to his first unit of assignment. She said, not good. She said, I better take over, give me some phone numbers, and we will ease this transition. So she would call me every other day and say, hey, he's at a party with my kids right now. He's still a kid, sir. But that's what this program is about. This program, as General Casey stated, is designed to embrace and reassure our survivors that their army will always be there. And we do it every single day. Are we perfect? No. Are we learning? Yes. Do we learn and share best practices? Yes. That's what Survivor Outreach Services are all about. You know, I looked at the theme a moment ago, and we talk about the strength of our Army. I'm here to tell you that our survivors are truly that muscle that delivers the strength. When I meet with the family, the survivors, those who are left behind to carry on, the thing that I tell them is that we will never, ever leave you behind. No matter how tall they are, no matter how small they are, I tell them that, and I mean it. I mean it because when I meet these families, the survivors, the thing that they tell me to a person is, I love the Army because Ryan loved the Army. I love the Army. I want to be with the Army. I'm not mad with the Army because the Army will take care of me because my soldier told me. That's what survivors deserve. They deserve a network of comprehensive navigation. They need a system or a method to access support. They need passionate people handling their individual case like it was their own. That's not much to ask for. They don't ask for a whole lot. They never ask me for a whole lot. They just say, out at Arlington today, my Wichita partners, survivors, they say, hey, General, I just want you to know something. We are blown away that the Army is keeping a promise of never leaving us behind, that they remember my soldier. They remember my soldier, and that's what Survivor Outreach Services are about. Connecting, keeping connected with survivors, directing them, helping them navigate the bureaucracy that happens months sometimes, connecting them with organizations that have as their charter, we want to help. The charters are different from organization to organization. And we are so proud to have organizations like Families United. You know, Mary Lee Carlson over there, sitting in the survivor group, leads that organization. She say, "What do you need, General? I'll be there." TAPS, Bunny Carroll. I think I saw Bunny right there. On the job 24/7, providing grief counseling. We're trying to do some business last night. She wants to say hello to me. I want to say hello to her. But guess what she was doing? She's part of the network when we talk about non-governmental organizations. She's over there mentoring and sharing and trying to help one of our survivors deal with the grief that they still have. General Casey talked about a lot of the things that we've done, and we've done a lot. I won't bore you with well, I will. My staff wrote this down, and I want to make sure everyone knows that we have transferred over 26,000 casualty cases, one by one. Did a triage, an inventory of the case to make sure all the things that our survivors deserve, that they receive. Every one of them transferred. And a warm handoff of those cases to a network of over 231, I'm talking about passionate part of my network, survivor outreach counselors that are scattered all over America and Europe and Korea, Hawaii. They are where our survivors are, and they will go where our survivors go. They'll do that. That's the network that General Casey talked about. That's the network my boss talks about all the time, General Lynch. That's a part of the network that Sarah Lynch shows every day that she cares because they're engaged. They're engaged and they help us focus the support that our survivors need. We've also visited each garrison. You know, there was some talk the other day about, well, we need standardized programs. Let me tell you something. Survivor Outreach Services is not a Reuben Jones program. It is a program made up of reserve component, National Guard, active Army, survivors, all doing our role in order to deliver on this promise. Survivor Outreach Services. We have a tracking system that we are modifying because as the young soldier who's here with the mother, our bureaucratic system won't let us put him in. But guess what? Reuben Jones owns a system that I can modify and put him in. So if he needs something, our SOS coordinators will say, well, we haven't talked to him in a while. Let's check on it. We're doing that today. We've talked to all the garrisons, my boss. He's told all the garrisons around the world the expectation, his intent for this program. And guess what? We have one of those great commanders here with us today, and there are hundreds of them just like him following that operations order that directs them to take care of business, to take care of our survivors. That's what we're doing. You're going to hear from him shortly. We go where survivors go. Sometimes we go and we're not even invited, and we take our nice marketing tools with us so that we can connect with survivors that may be outside of this current conflict. We're starting to see spouses come in from the Vietnam era. You know, Johnny said we'd be all right. Johnny died a month ago, and someone showed up at the house and said, my bills hadn't been paid. My mortgage is due. I need some help. those SOS coordinators, survivor outreach services. We will search tirelessly to find assistance for those survivors, to find assistance for those survivors. We've conducted workshops, and just a few blocks from here, it's been talked about, but I am blown away by the work that that part of the network did for the last 2 days. I'm talking long days. Hey, don't check your egos at the door, check your sorrows at the door. We want you to focus on something higher than self. To a person, to a survivor. They all met the challenge. They all met the challenge. Their voices were heard. They decided as a group, teamwork, huh? We're pretty good about that in the Army. Those are my teammates. They're part of the network. And as we go over the next few months, we're going to do some things much better. Let me talk to you about a couple of challenges, and I'm going to get off the stage. The toughest thing that we do right now in our business is to keep track of our survivors. From time to time, they decide that, well, I'm not going to stay in this location, I'm going home, or I'm going here, I went there, and now I moved again. And frankly, some say, I'm not ready for you, Army. I'm not ready yet. So we work tirelessly to keep track of every survivor. It's a fast-moving train, but we've employed several very technical tools in order to connect with those survivors, in order to find them and get them back into the network so that we can assist them. We are finalizing and going through the bureaucracy of putting into a regulation the things that were talked about over here a second ago. You talk about grief books, unit books of the fallen. Other armies around the world do it very well. We just started. But we have started now, and on installations and garrisons around our Army, we're starting to get the word out that this is important. And when you change command, as important as it is to have property accountability, we want you to have survivor accountability. So when that group visits your installation, when that group comes by and say, I need some help, they may want to drop by the unit and say, hey, my son was a part of this unit, and it's good to see this emblem. I feel that I'm close to him now. One of the comments that was made a moment ago is, you know, you got a lot of great programs. This is a great program. And we started out at Fort Hood. We went to Fort Hood because they did it better than anybody else. Nobody else did it. And we learned from the best. We learned how to set up our office, my office. Financial, spiritual, the other components that our survivors need, all there. We then set out to tell everybody about it, and we're doing that. Strategic communications, repeating these same themes and messages about our survivors, what they want to be called, where you can find them, where they can get help, telling that story over and over again.